So just for the camera, it's Danny Young doing assignment 4 of the talent development assistant. I'm on the Skype call with Josh from Peony Academy. Obviously it would have been better to do this in person. We plan to do it in the training room at your academy, but the situation changes, doesn't it? So we're going to have to adapt. What's going to happen is I'm just going to talk at you for about 10-15 minutes about the areas I've focused on, which we discussed at stage 1 of this process. And obviously if you've got any questions at the end, maybe arrange a proper meet up after to see how things are going and things like that, if that's alright with you. Yep, so if we get cracking, camera's recording. To start off with, I focused on the 4-corner model, which obviously you use already at Preston, especially in the foundation phase of the academy, because coaches recognise there's more to the team's development than just technical skills associated with football, which is outlined on the FA programme, the website. If you go and have a look at the DNA of the FA, which I'm sure you do, as most academies need that to be an academy. Both the academy that you stated at the start and the FA believe it's important to take a holistic approach in developing athletes and addressing all areas of the 4-corner model, which obviously involves the social, physical, technical and tactical. For me, talking to you, I would say you need to provide training sessions for these children with long-term goals. So this is using all of the elements, helping children develop in more ways, because obviously, as we both know, talent development is not just about playing football, it's about everything that comes with it. The overriding consideration should be each training session delivered within the academy should involve an element from all 4 corners of the model. So if you're doing a training session on, I don't know, dribbling and ball control, that's going to be your technical and tactical side of it. But then you're also going to want to include stuff like communication and teamwork skills within that, looking at the social side of it. The 4-corner model offers, it gives us a unique tool to develop athletes, especially at the foundation stage. If they're coming in at age 9, you're going to want to develop them quickly, but you're also going to want to develop them in the right way, so they can reach the under 21 team, first team, hopefully in the future. To be used effectively, you guys as coaches, you need to create the sessions like individually, so plan the sessions at the start of the week. Day 1 you're going to do this, then Wednesday you're going to do this, Thursday you're going to do that, and you need to make sure that all 4 elements of the corner are incorporated into that. Excuse me. Second stage we started looking at was the developing of mental skills. Obviously in developing an athlete, mental skills is a huge part to play in it. And the way these are coached in the academy will have an influence on how these players progress in the future. A key point taken from the proposal stage when we looked at this was the youth football triangle that you guys use, which obviously includes the 3 main groups of you as a coach, the player and the parents themselves. The triangle of interaction between all 3 of these obviously will help to determine the success of the athlete and also the enjoyment of the athlete as well in the pathway programme. As we both know, a child coming in at 9 wants to be the next professional footballer. It's going to be a lot of hard work, it's going to take a lot. I've got a quote from Valaland and Loiser 1999 bit of research I did on this, saying that because of the attraction of success in football, young players can often face a large amount of pressure from friends and family, which can distract them from enjoying football and lead to burnout and loss of motivation, which I'm sure as an academy coach you've experienced that in players before. The players want to be famous footballers, the parents want them to be famous footballers. So my solution for you guys would to sit down with the parents, to sit down with the players, maybe at pre-season level, and talk about this football triangle, who's going to be involved in what. Come training sessions, do you want the parents there? Do you want them out of the way so you can do that with them? And it also gives you an opportunity to develop mental skills training further, becoming mentally tough and developing grit, which from research by Duckworth et al. In 2007 was quoted as a perseverance and passion for long-term goals, and is highly correlated to 5 personality traits. And obviously this trait from Web 2006 says it's a growth mindset. Growth mindset it's been drilled into us, I'm sure, as coaches for a long time. It's what you want in a player, so obviously developing athletes, it's what you're going to want in there. And obviously, again, you've probably experienced it yourself as an academy coach. Athletes dropping out, obviously it's a big deal. We all know that 1 in a million of them become the next football player, so obviously you've got to have them tough conversations with players and parents. And I think, again, you can use that youth football triangle to incorporate how you're going to tell these athletes and parents that they're not going to be the next big thing. Because obviously you can use this in a positive way as well. You can also emphasise the success of your players, the athletes, say that what they're doing well, because obviously little things like that, extrinsic feedback, are going to help them become more mentally tough and more mentally resilient. And I was reading an article from The Guardian, which was done research on football academies in top flight football and championship football. But obviously dropouts can have a negative effect on athletes' mental health, as boys who've been training in the academy since they were 9 years old to then get dropped at 16. It's obviously quite a big thing to take. Obviously families take them to training, take them to games all the time, so obviously it's a big impact to drop out on that. And that's something, again, I would ask you to look at, to see what you are doing at the end when a player does get dropped. Are you helping them look for other clubs? Are you helping them adjust to normal life? Just something you should focus on about how you're going to keep the athlete motivated and within football. Because obviously academy is not just getting the next big player, it's identifying talent and nurturing the pathway to become a footballer. The last thing we're going to move on to is an area which I'm not sure, it's not used in many academies, but that's the theory of talent transfer, which occurs when an athlete reduces their involvement in a specific sport and focuses on a new sport that involves similar movement skills and stuff like that. It frequently occurs informally, like when an athlete decides to do another sport as well as football. We've got examples like Gary and Phil Neville, who obviously, as well as being in the Manchester United Academy, took part in loads of different sports, and obviously that did benefit them. But it also occurs through talent identification and development programs, which obviously we're looking at as the P&E Academy. A quote from Bullock et al. 2009 says, "Existing high-performance athletes are targeted and their athletic ability is transferred to another sport." I think coaches such as yourself in academies should try and encourage young athletes to transfer between sports. Obviously, that's totally up to you. It's your club, it's your policy. You decide if they're allowed to play with sports and stuff like that. But research does show from UK Sport 2011 that athletes who do take part in other sports are more likely to transfer them skills and become better and transfer themselves properly. As I say, all of this is down to you. I'm just offering you my opinion and my views as a coach who's researching on this. Whether you choose to do this, it's totally up to you. Yeah, have you got any questions that I can expand on further?
Why are you viewing like talent development this way?
Why am I including the...
Viewing talent development this way?
I think I'm viewing it in that way just purely based on the research that's out there. A holistic approach to developing, especially a young athlete, which we're focusing on in the foundation phase. It's certainly something you want to try and do. You don't want a player to be shooting the ball at a goal for 45 minutes straight, because they're not really getting anything out of that. If you're focusing on technical, tactical, social and physical side of it, they're developing themselves as an athlete in a holistic way, which will hopefully lead them to becoming better, understanding the game more, and obviously giving them more of a chance to progress through the academy up to the first team.
That's great. And on the talent transfer you was on about, what would you recommend for athletes?
For talent transfer,
Yeah.
personally, I would encourage these athletes to partake in other sports, because obviously we can move into the argument of diversification versus specification. And if you look at the research outlet from Gillich 2011, most researchers say that specialisation doesn't always work. Diversification is the key. Obviously, if you're football the whole time, okay, you're going to become better at football, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the skills to become a footballer. Whereas if you look at diversification and taking part in other sports, you're going to develop different skills, different movement skills, fundamental movement skills, things like that. And you also get the enjoyment out of taking part in other sports. If you're a 14-year-old player, you don't want to be at that football pitch, at that training ground every single day. It gives you a chance to meet new people. Maybe you might even be good at that new sport. It gives you another opportunity to take part in other sports and potentially put your success somewhere else.
And would you let them experience other sports?
Yeah, I think it's key, especially in the foundation phase. As I just mentioned about the diversification, the benefits of that override the specialisation. So I would definitely encourage them to take part in other sports. Yeah.
Great.
Any more questions or?
No, that's all the questions I've got.
No, it's brilliant. Well, I appreciate your time. Obviously, as I said, it started been nice to do this in a different situation. Hopefully, we can arrange a further meet-up.
Definitely.
Come down to training, see how things are going. And yeah, just appreciate your time and thanks for letting me be involved.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you.